yourselves standing at the foot of this walled city. And as you look up, it's a large set of stairs that lead to, like I said, like it's a city wall, and what looks to be a giant platform that spans for miles. Kind of a large trapezoidal platform that just spans as far as you can see with this giant wall. And in the center of that city, you see a secondary ziggurat built on top of this platform that just is that massive structure that shoots into the sky. And you are now on the steps of the entrance of Mortaurios, as a large gate in front of you kind of stretches into your vision.
She is hastily taking notes, documenting all of this. And so the steps that we're on, it leads to the city, right? It's not to that ziggurat. Not to that central ziggurat. It is just this. You can think of it like a ziggurat on top of a ziggurat, almost. The base of the city is made of kind of like a pyramid structure, like the bottom third of a pyramid. And then, in the middle of the city is a larger pyramid. The city spans miles and miles. Okay. Eliana will turn to her grumpy companions, Flinry and Toddleheim, and still very wary about... Get over
I think we can be called the Brothers Grumpy for the rest of the campaign. That would be a good...
And she mostly directs this to Flinry because she's still very unsure of Toddleheim. So she had like sketched the ziggurat before and was like, and says, well, she wasn't lying. This is the place.
Henry will look at the book and kind of look up at the thing in the distance and back to the book and then over to Ceres and just ask, how is it that you found this place?
I found somebody else from the city, similar to how you all found me. And they brought me here. It is a very vast and large city, so just be careful, as there are many different people here.
People like you,
I suppose. Well, I've never been to this ziggurat before. I wouldn't mind accompanying you to it.
Are you trying to return somewhere?
I am, yes.
Mike, does our world, do we have a continent or a city-state or a place that we came from? Is it called something? Like, do our adventures take place somewhere prior to this moment?
Sure. The area you were in, the entire plane of the Dread Fortress and all of the realms that exist there, it's kind of an amalgamation of lost worlds. It's simply just called the Void.
Okay. Did you come from the Void?
From a part of it, yes.
And so you were killed.
Yes, that is how I found myself here.
We too were killed and arrived here.
I came here and met people, and I became very close with them, and they were killed here. And if you die here, there is no coming back. You become sand, as I suppose you saw earlier. And now I am alone. So I know what it's like to lose friends. And I have nothing else here. So if anything, I would like to return.
We're no strangers to loss.
Yes.
You can look at Toddleheim and just kind of like try to gauge a judgment check here, like a character analysis of this person, and see if anything's changed in his mind.
And I'll look back and I'll just nod and just be like, yeah, she's all right. I don't like her, but she's all right.
So cute. Oh my god. Oh, so cute.
I begin to walk forward and begin walking into the city, and I've tried to learn what I can about this place, but I don't know as much as I'd like to. So perhaps if we can learn some more and head toward that ziggurat, I guess that would be as good of a start as ever.
Flannery wants to check to see if his manipulating the sand powers work in the city.
Go ahead and roll me a d20.
Okay.
You reach your hand into the sand, and presumably you've done this a number of times over the time you've been here, and you know now that it's not an everyday occurrence. You found that sword truth in a particular moment and time and place, but it's not at every time you reach in the sand kind of thing. You don't feel that same sensation. You felt it a number of times over the years, but it's kind of arbitrary to you when it does work, when it doesn't. You don't seem to have any control over this sand at the moment.
Okay.
All right. And as you all make your way up those steps, you approach the gates of the city, bustling with sound as that ziggurat draws closer into your vision. As you all enter the entryway of this city of Mortaurios, you walk in, and it is a bustling kind of metropolis almost. It's still dusty and sandy. It's a very desert city. You have tents and bazaars as you make your way through the city, but it's packed with people. There are thousands upon thousands, maybe more, people moving around the city, and in an odd kind of juxtaposition to where you just came from, and especially for you, Flannery, who's been here wandering for years and years, like this would be maybe almost unfathomable to you, that there's so many people and that it's kind of mundane in a way. People here are buying and selling goods. They're moving. There are drinks being drank. There's food being eaten. It's everything you would think of a normal city, a normal market kind of area. And as you walk through down the different alleyways, the different streets, there are paved streets. There are people what seem to be doing jobs around the city, repairing structures. It's I would imagine, especially for you, Flannery, and really for everybody, because you've been in this fight in this desert. Some of you just died not too long ago. We're talking like maybe hours in time. You're now in this metropolis, this huge, and as you get in here, it still has that green hue to it, but it's a little bit less. That color is becoming a little bit less here as structures are taking on different colors, kind of more normal sandstones and things like that, as the light shining out of that ziggurat kind of casts a different hue, a more normal hue of tones and lights here within the city walls. And as you walk through, really you're never losing sight of that structure as it's huge and just massive, sticks out over the horizon. You find yourself walking around now kind of an open market, a bazaar, as you kind of make your way in, and people are just kind of bumping past you and going about their whatever business they have here, and you kind of just we'll pick up there. You guys can just kind of be in this moment for a second.
Flannery's only ever seen things here that have been made of the sand. Does anything in this city seem to be made of the sand? Like the creatures he's fought, everything rose in from the sand and was made of sand. Is anything like that here?
There is, in terms of creatures, there are no creatures made of sand here. Okay. In terms of buildings and things, they seem to be made of sand, yes, but not in the same quality. More in the quality of like, this is a desert town, you know, and things are just kind of made. The sand is used as a building element, you know, to make clays and types of structures and things like that. So there's wood here. There's all sorts of stone and things you would have expected to see in a normal city, but nothing seems to be like ethereally made out of magic sand like you've seen before. Okay. You know, this seems to be kind of just a normal looking city.
Makes Flumy uncomfortable.
Just when you think you know a place.
Do I know what currency people use here?
Yeah.
Like at these various bazaars and stuff. Like, how do people buy things?
Yeah, you would know that they're using instead of like a gold, there are some sort of precious metal currencies that are passed around, but more so there are different gems, different types of gems. These are larger fragments. Sometimes they're shaped and polished. Sometimes they're rough cut. You would know these as soul gems. Sarah, show me a history check.
Let's see. Ooh.
You know that
19.
yes, with that roll, you would definitely remember this being explained to you in the past. You've been here for some time. These gems are found sometimes in the sand, in the place where individuals have ceased to be alive. These are fragments of people's souls that don't get completely obliterated into sand. Sometimes, not every time, but sometimes larger pieces remain. And over the hundreds and thousands of years, unknown how long this place has existed, those gems have been found and amassed here, and people use them as currency. They sometimes break them apart and barter with them. It's really more of a barter system than it is a currency. Anything valuable can be traded or used as currency here, but those gems in particular are sought after, kind of existing as a currency of its own. But there are with your history check, there are whispers that those pieces still contain the souls and perhaps can be used in arcane ways. Maybe they're not that you know of for sure, but there are people who collect for that reason, and attempt to use those.
Are you going to share that extremely crucial and elaborate amount of information with the group, or are you choosing to keep that to yourself?
I wouldn't go into as much detail, but I would simply say, if you were looking to do a bit of shopping, because we're walking past all of these various, shops and bazaars and stuff, the best way to do so is collecting gems around. Sometimes they're left in fragments of people who have died. Fortunately, didn't see any from those outlanders that we were just fighting, but that's usually how.
Mr. DM, Eliana gathered up the remains of her friend. Could she search through the bag to see if a shard is there?
Shards.
Go ahead and roll an investigation check as you sift through that sand.
Okay, please be good. Please be good. What the?
Oh.
Are you serious?
Oh no.
A natural one.
Oh my god.
With a natural one, you dig your hands into that bag and you feel around for something that is solid, something larger of the sand that you collected from that area where Lockett decomposed. But it just feels kind of like a bag of cold sand. You kind of sift your hands through it and knead it, and there are some grains that are, slightly bigger than others, as sand is, but it doesn't feel like there's a hard gem or anything in that bag as you kind of come up empty-handed.
Flinter's gonna watch her do this, and seeing her expression, because he doesn't have a hand in the bag, he doesn't. But just seeing that I'm assuming a look of defeat.
Yeah, she shakes her head lightly at him.
And he'll just nod and.
Well, as we fight more enemies in this place, if we do, we might be able to collect some of these soul gems. And if you all need to pick up some things along the way, it's actually quite a bit of goods in these various locations. So just something to keep in mind.
Roll me a history check, Teach. This all seems foreign to you. Obviously, this idea of this currency and these gems, but as you think back many, many years to your first moments here, as your dream, your vision, whatever it was shattered, you began to engage in combat with a rather large minotaur made of sand, the very first creature that you encountered in this place, and slicing it in half, turning it into mere. It dissipated back in the sand, and at the time, not knowing what it was, you encountered not a large fragment, but a small, maybe the size of a quarter, piece of a gem. Would you have picked it up?
I think in that would have been in a moment immediately following the sheer manifestation of what is now his greatsword. And so I think at that point, yeah, anything that looked like it was something other than sand, he would have clung to as a means of something. It's anything that isn't sand.
Yeah. So in your possessions, you still have that small fragment that you found those years ago, not knowing what it was, hanging on to it for whatever reason. Maybe it was helpful, maybe it just looked shiny. But yeah, you have that, and now with that history, you can kind of make that connection of people using those here for currency. If you think about it in the moment, you can make that connection.
I guess Flannery will reach into his pouch and kind of feel around, and having watched Eliana just do this, I think that's maybe what triggers his memory to look for something like a gem. Is seeing someone else search around in a bag. It's like, oh shit, yeah, I reached into this bag, and he's gonna pull out that kind of quarter-sized gem and just kind of toss it and catch it and hold it up, and something like this. And he's gonna show it to Sarah.
Yes. Just like that. You could probably get something pretty good with that. It's, if you were in the mood to do some shopping, usually it's about how well you're able to barter.
Flinter's going to think back to the time he tried to enter Kenny's gambling game.
Oh, God.
In the very first day. And when he put jewelry on the line that he then lost and had to basically intimidate his way back into getting and just kind of not really share that with the group, but just kind of smile lightly to himself about his negotiating
Fond
skills,
memories.
and be like, okay, yeah, sure.
In your head, you can, as you think back to the memory, you can still hear the voice of Kenny. I'm not vaccinated. As he runs off. As you stand here, kind of talking amongst yourself, making this realization about the soul gems and kind of looking around the market, from out of the crowd, a group of individuals starts to approach you very directly. It's a group of 4 individuals. Finds himself looking kind of straight at you here, weapons drawn, wearing sets of armor, looking kind of militaristic in some ways. And from in the back, a larger gentleman. I'm going to need you all to come with me.
Is there a reason that you would ask this? You have a warrant of sorts?
Roll me a history check. Not Lockett. Lockett's dead. Sarah's.
No.
Insensitive.
You don't know who this person is, but you do recognize the crest of on his armor. It's the crest is the same shape as that gem on top of the ziggurat. You would recognize that these are the royal military guards, so to speak.
Oh, okay.
So he there's no demands being made here. Simply a request from their majesties.
I look to the others. We should probably comply. I don't think we'll be in danger, per se. But if we don't comply, we will be.
Flannery's going to look at Eliana as she's kind of been the diplomat throughout their experience here in the Sandy region.
Oh, God.
And defer to someone who's maybe a little less emotionally driven and a little bit more well-spoken than he would be with someone making demands of him after years of solitude.
Are we in trouble?
No, I don't believe that you're in trouble. Their majesties simply wish to greet you upon your arrival.
And this is tradition.
Yeah, it's been known to happen from time to time. Their majesties do like to keep tabs on the populace.
Well, I suppose who are we to decline his majesty of the honor? I suppose, and looks over at the party.
I'll cast like a glance over my shoulder, looking back at Ceres. It's like a sort of like a dark, sort of like irritated. What have you sort of led us into kind of glance? I was like, and I'll look back and I'll be like, seems good.
She just kind of like
Shrugs. Shrugs. I very quietly whisper to them out of earshot of the guard. There is a magistrate, I guess, here in the city. It's run by a king and queen. So, again, they're not really tyrants from what I know of. So I think we should be okay if we just make ourselves known, and then we'll be on our way, I suppose. I think.
Small eyebrow raise from Tuttle Hyman.
I think.
Well, I
Right? I mean,
don't know that we have much choice.
Yes, just remember to be respectful as if you're meeting, very powerful individuals, your majesty, and all of that good stuff. Just
Land of the dead as a king and queen. Surprise.
yes, that's she shrugs again.
Eliana just. When did you want us to go with you now?
That would be the idea.
I suppose we would be lost. Yes. Please lead the way. My friends and I will be right behind you.
Very well. As he turns and these individuals, they had unsheathed their weapons, not in a confrontational way, just more of a just in case way. They put their weapons away and begin to lead the way through the city. If you all follow.
Yeah, I think Flannery follows.
Yeah, I follow.
I think Flannery would also, as we're following, wants to take note of A, the route we're taking to get there, and B, are there any other notable buildings that look important beyond the bazaar that we would pass or see?
Roll me a perception check.
$13.
There's a lot of different types of buildings in this place. Some seem a little fancier than others. Really, it is like any city. There do seem to be some more well-maintained buildings. As you get closer to the ziggurat, the homes and the businesses do seem to get a little bit nicer. Columns and more ornate decorations. You see people, exchanging those soul gems to some degree, as well as other precious metals. Not that everyone's just dealing in gems all the time here. They're a more valuable currency, but they definitely have a structure here, a hierarchy, a system of order. So there's definitely some buildings that are look nicer, look more maybe even governmental in nature. More maintained by the monarchy, you might assume, or something.
Do we see any wildlife? Like, are there horses here? Are there birds? Is there dogs barking? Or
There are hints of wildlife. It's pretty sparse. Occasionally, you will see a rat or a small creature. Maybe one or two horses. Not like. That might be the one thing that looks out of place in this city, is that there is a notable absence of as much non-humanoid life as you might expect.
Children?
No children.
Okay.
Can Eliana kind of speed up to walk to that next to that guy who is talking to us and ask, is everyone that we see here, did they all die at one point?
Yes, that is how one comes to find themselves in the sands of eternity.
And they're happy here?
As happy as anyone can be anywhere, I suppose. Many, I would imagine, didn't believe in such a place in the living realms. So, better to be alive here than nothing somewhere else.
Are you happy with where you are?
Getting a little personal, but yes, I'm comfortable in my station.
Oh, I assumed you just seemed so confident. I didn't think that it was so personal question. I'm sorry. We've been through a lot. Sand scorpions, mean people. I'm really just a librarian. I didn't get out much in my life.
You won't find many libraries here. Maybe one or two. Hard to make books of sand.
Yes, I could assume. How long have you been here?
He looks down at his shield that he's carrying, and then as he's walking, kind of looks at his feet. I'm not sure that I know. After centuries, it all melds together. Time doesn't really seem to exist for me anymore. I just am.
Is anybody behind me? No, I'm last.
Okay. You can be last if you want.
Well, I actually didn't want to be last, but I'm
Do whatever you want.
Well, okay. I mean,
I don't want to be
this all sounds really stupid until I tell you what I was gonna.
Okay.
But similar to the kind of action that Toddleheim and I had back when we were trying to kind of discern a little bit more information about Ceres. I am wondering if there's anybody behind me that would see things in the reflection of the sword, since I'm currently not holding it up in front of my face.
I don't know. You're asking if other people are looking at your sword?
Well, I'm asking if any of our party members are noticing changes, and as we're walking past things, do the things that they see in the real world look different in the sword that are part of the city? Are we able to discern a truth about the sword? We're about the city via the sword. That's the...
Is anybody walking behind Flannery?
Like if we pass a stall of tomatoes, do we walk past and it's a guy in like a countryside selling, apples? Whatever it is, it's like, is it real, or is this an idealized version of something? Just like people, does the environment also shift? This is the first metropolitan area we've seen, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I've only ever been able to see a difference in people because that's all I've ever seen.
If roll me, if you happen to be behind Flannery, if you think you'd be behind him, go ahead and roll a perception check. If you might look in that sword.
I think everybody should all of a sudden be behind Flannery except Eliana, who's notably run ahead.
Anyone else? Okay. All right. Toddleheim, you look into that sword, just kind of casually as it's in front of your face, or so. Kind of. It's I assume it's sheathed, so it's more of just like the hilt and the beginning of the blade. But you catch a. Is it not?
Well, hang on. Let me describe the sheath for this sword to you.
Go ahead.
Because it is different in my mind than what you're just describing.
Okay. Hit me with it.
It's a sheath in the sense that it has like a little cup on the bottom for the point to go into, and then like a backboard with like a couple of belt straps.
Gotcha.
Because I would never be able to actually unsheath a sword of that size. So typically it would be...
Fair enough.
So I think that most of the surface of it should be pretty exposed outside of a couple interruptions from the straps holding it in.
Okay. Well, you look into that sword, kind of casually, just glancing about. Things don't look that different to you here in this place. The structures themselves seem to be intact. Seem to be as is. You do notice from time to time that there's a slight variations of, if you were to look back and see the person in the reflection, slight variations. But kind of like with Ceres, it's the same person. Just maybe a little younger, maybe a little bit happier, maybe hair is a little different. It's just slight variations of as you start to kind of gather that this is kind of how these people see themselves on the inside.
Do I see them doing this?
See them looking in the sword as they walk?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I mean, roll a perception check. See if you notice that Talheim's looking at the sword.
13?
Yeah, I would say that you'd probably notice that he's kind of checking out the reflections.
I can. Eliana's gonna call up Flannery. Wave him up.
Renee will do like that little that fake jog people do when they're crossing the sidewalk. When you're like stopped in your car and they pretend like they're running, but it's the same speed with like a little extra hop in there that doesn't really need to be there. But
I do that.
I'm moving real fast for you. And he'll get up there to Eliana. Yeah.
My new friend here. I'm sorry. What's your name?
My name is Braun.
Braun?
Braun, I am the captain of the guard.
Yes, and he's been here for ages, and he can't remember when he got here. And I thought maybe you could take a look into your sword and see what he, maybe
I'm just gonna, before she finishes that sentence, I'm just gonna kind of elbow her to stop talking about the sword in front of people we don't know. I mean, I love showing off I've quite an impressive great sword. It's happy to show it to anybody who's familiar with weaponry. It's a fine sword indeed. And he'll look at the captain of the guard and just kind of nod like a yeah.
Yes, I'm sure that it's great. I've seen a sword before.
Yeah, I don't know. It's ever since my new friend Eliana got here, she's just been talking about how much she loves it. I think she likes just to tell other people about it, and
Eliana will get the hint, but glare at Flinray and be like, "Sorry, I guess it's just a normal, stupid sword after all."
I wouldn't. He looks at Eliana kind of strangely for a minute. and kind of Flannery, just this odd exchange. Sand sickness, as he just mumbles to himself. And he continues kind of just like that's a normal statement, and moves on, guiding you through the streets and more towards that ziggurat. And as you get closer, the buildings begin to clear out, and as you approach it, it's massive. It almost seems to touch the sky as you walk into it. It's just this immense pyramid, fully enclosed, and it has a large slit-like opening. As you approach that, and you can see it looks dark from a distance, but as you get closer, you see that there are kind of a brilliant light emanating from this slit opening, not in a blinding way, but just kind of in a pleasant glowing hue. It's not quite the mere green. It's more like a bluish green light, kind of just slowly, just kind of lightly radiating from this temple, as it were, this ziggurat. But the door to this place is just hundreds of feet high.
Have we ascended at all on the way to this door? Like, are we up above like a portion of the city to be able to look back and kind of see? Okay. Yeah,
you've gone up, not a crazy amount of elevation, but it has kind of led upward. This city is definitely designed as a kind of a plateau, and then it slowly kind of slopes upwards from all sides to that ziggurat, to the base of it, which then kind of juts up, exponentially higher from the middle.
So kind of seeing what Eliana was getting at there with that, Flannery will stop kind of at this little part, look back over the city, turning his back directly at the captain of the guard, and kind of eye Eliana briefly, and then just look. This city here is quite vast and impressive. I've been here a long time and haven't seen anything like it. It's been here a long time then, and kind of ushers the captain of the guard over. Whereabouts do you reside? And kind of like it puts him kind of right in the view of being like, Eliana can do what she will with that this opportunity, I suppose.
And I'll look in the reflection of the mirror.
Are you trying to see the reflection of the captain?
Him.
Okay. Yeah, as you randomize it. Not. Oh, that's not good.
Oh, whoa.
As you look at this reflection of this man, he does not appear all that similar to his form. Still the same type of individual, still a humanoid, still roughly the same features, but the image that you're seeing is of a much smaller man. He's kind of large and broad here in his armor, but when you look at that sword, he almost seems like the armor doesn't fit. Like it's too large, too heavy for him, and his posture in that reflection is almost dragged down, as if that armor is very, very heavy, and looks tired and kind of sad. Which is, he seems like seems like a pleasant enough person, kind of carefree to a degree, more than happy to entertain questions and all that, but in this reflection just seems small and burdened.
Okay. Eliana will pretend to cough and grab onto the guy and be, "Oh, your shoulders are so broad. You're so strong. Is that from all your years of commanding? It's quite impressive."
Yeah, I guess. As he kind of is taken back by this, I have to admit to you, I'm rather new to command. It's kind of thrust upon me, really. Not something I would have chosen, but when their majesties call, you answer. At least,
Yes,
at least I do.
you did a fantastic job of getting us to follow you, so I would say it fits you naturally. You are quite the strong captain that I'm sure that they were looking for.
Flair's gonna shoot a look to Toddleheim, and Sarah's like, all right.
Yeah.
We'll find out hopefully what that means later.
As you kind of say this, you kind of continue to act strange to him. He'll just look at you and, how long were you out there?
Not long, but yeah. And Eliana will fake cough again. Just the sand. It's abrasive.
Quite well.
Yeah.
Oh.
Causes hallucinations sometimes, a lot of brain fog. So, yeah, it happens sometimes.
I assume you'll all have a chance to rest momentarily. No, not momentarily, but soon enough. As he guides you to this ziggurat and to that large opening, and as you walk in to this place, it is, I guess the word would be cavernous in nature. You walk in and it's mostly empty space. It is huge in nature, though, and you can see as you walk in bridges that kind of shoot off in different directions from the entrance, and if you were to look over the side of the bridge, you would see a large drop that takes you hundreds of feet before it becomes pitch black into sand below, kind of an empty chasm, but there's a series of bridges and things that all kind of stretch out here from the entrance into this large cavern, and at the center of this cavern is almost a really beautiful sight of a palace. This palace is not quite that green color. It's more blues in nature's. And it glows from the tops of that palace built inside of this ziggurat here as you stand at a bridge kind of looking out across this sand, looking out across this area. It's just this massive space as these lights in the air, almost like starlight, begin to kind of twinkle around you as you make your way in. What was maybe sand in your vision out in the open has now been replaced kind of by these moving stars, sand-like in size and nature, but kind of floating ethereally in the air. And you look up to the top of this ziggurat and you notice that there are holes cut in the structure. And from those holes, light pours in from the celestial events that you've seen before, kind of in the sky, those blues and greens and different colors and those planets emanating a light down, and that light pours in through these holes and begins to reflect as you roll me perception checks. Let's see what you see.
Oh, we're so close.
Eliana, Saris, kind of looking around more inquisitively. You're going to notice this definitely kind of right away as this light. You're looking up, the light pours in, and it begins to hit a series of mirrors, and that light is bounced around and reflected into these patterns of geometric shapes around this palace, and forming large beams of light that kind of coalesce into these large balls that give this kind of like ghostly blue hue through this place. It's very beautiful. It's not kind of a intimidating or scary sight. It's just very calming color, kind of like when they put those blue street lights in cities, to calm people down. It's kind of that calming effect of this blue as you look upon this palace built in, and as they begin to kind of guide you. Actually, they're going to stop at the bridge, and just the guards are going to be with a hand going to turn to the side, and it's just through there you'll find their majesties waiting for you.
Nod and head forward.
Yeah. And as go ahead.
But you're not coming then?
No, my presence wasn't requested.
Right. Trying to make towards the door. Maybe just a hint of hesitation of like, what's really behind the door there?
Yeah. So if you were to cross this bridge, you notice these lights, and kind of as you walk through them, these floating stars, they have a physical nature to them. As you walk, you can kind of push them aside, like they're not don't have a lot of mass to them, but they kind of bounce off of your skin, and it's like, I don't even know what it would be like walking through bubbles, I guess, walking through floating sand maybe, as it kind of has a light touch to it that you, if you wanted to, you could push across, but definitely your body is passing through it and interacting with it as you kind of move your way through. But as you get to this palace and this large opening, it opens right into a grand hall, where at the end of this hall you would see two large thrones sitting, as they two figures sit in those thrones, and they look across at you with this blue light kind of shining from the mirrors and kind of lighting up this stage area, almost this throne area. And there are other people in this room, servants moving around, a large number of people coming just to kind of look the court of this palace, kind of just standing to the sides of the aisle that you're walking down as you make your way into this palace. And the figures at the end kind of just await your approach.